The barber trims my beard all nice, like an artist. Now, I didn't tell him to do that. I wanted the beard gone. So then I went home and shaved it off completely after I was done. I felt horrible.
The passion.
Rafael Devers is the biggest contract in franchise history. He needs to be a leader for this Red Sox team.
The opinions on all your favorite teams.
Are the Patriots close to playoff contention? Yes. Are they close to Super Bowl contention? Hell no.
This is the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
What's up, everybody? Happy Friday here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM and FM and WDEVradio.com. Short show tonight. We're up until 6:10, then it's Red Sox baseball. Sox welcoming in Ohtani, Trout, and the rest of the Angels. We'll have that for you. 6:10 pregame show, 7:10 first pitch. Patrick Sandoval on the mound for the Angels. Tanner Houck gets the ball for the Red Sox. Couple of good pieces of news for the Red Sox here today. Brian Bayo's going to come up. Looks like he's going to start Monday. He'll start on Marathon Monday against Ohtani. And then also we'll get Trevor Story started playing some catch today. No idea what that means for his rehab timetable, but the fact that he is throwing at least here, that is a pretty good thing, and I do believe he will be back at some point here before this season ends, and maybe even back earlier than we thought. Maybe we thought the All-Star break or so would be the earliest. Just maybe that'll be the case. You can get in on the text line, 802-585-3026. Again, 802-585-3026. The show is brought to you by Fecto Homes.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And here we go.
And Buster Olney of ESPN is going to stop by with us here in 15 minutes. He'll join us at about 5:45. Talk about the Red Sox after their sweep against the Tampa Bay Rays. They turned the page today and try to turn the page. Text says Duvall coming back in June. Yes, that is kind of the thought. Duvall expected to be out 6 to 8 weeks, which would put him back here very end of May, extremely end of May, or early June. I've been expecting Duvall to be back in June all along. Trevor Story hopefully back there sometime mid-July, end of July, whereas before we were thinking he might miss the entire season. So, again, Buster will be with us here in about 15 minutes. Celtics start their playoff run tomorrow. Game 1 against the Atlanta Hawks is at 3:30 from the Garden. I have no concern about this series with Atlanta. I'm going to go on record now. I think the Celtics are going to win this series in 5. I think the Celtics are going to win this series in 5. And the reason why I think that is because Trae Young does nothing to scare me. He's a good scorer. He can get hot. I'm well aware of that. He's an NBA player who's the leading scorer on an NBA team. I'm fully aware Trae Young is capable of doing damage. But I believe the Celtics are fully capable of bothering him, of getting in his head, of wearing him down. You look at how these teams are constructed. The Hawks are built on wiry guards, Young and DeJounte Murray. The Celtics are built on thicker, stronger forwards. The Celtics have more length. The Celtics have more height. The Celtics have more defensive versatility. I just think the Hawks are a little bit soft. Bogdanovich is a little soft. Young is soft. I think they can get in their head. I think the Celtics are going to win this series in 5. Now, the Hawks are not to be taken lightly. Since Quinn Snyder took over, they're tops in the NBA in points per game. They're in the top 2 in offensive rebounds per game. They're in the top 5 in pace of play per game. So the Hawks will get up and run. They will get up and down, and they do have the ability to score. So they are not to be taken lightly. But that said, I am not worried about them at all. I have just watched enough Trae Young games in my life to think that the Celtics will be able to rattle him. I think Marcus Smart will be able to rattle him. I think Jaylen Brown will be able to rattle him. I think Malcolm Brogdon can get a turn at him. The Celtics have the ability to rotate different defenders on him. They have the ability to body him. They have the ability to just get him off his game. That's who Trae Young is. He's a scorer, but he's a guy who I think is easily irritable and a guy who can be thrown and a guy who can be taken off his game. So I got the Celtics winning tomorrow, and I got them winning tomorrow in a big way. I think tomorrow will be a convincing victory. I'm looking forward to sitting down and watching all of Game 1. Jaylen Brown looks like he's going to go. He's got that hand laceration, but stitches are out. He's going to go. Hopefully he's all good to go. I think the Celtics win this game, though. Texter says, I think the Celtics sweep Atlanta. I will never call for the sweep. I will go with the gentleman's sweep, which is 5 games. But I'll never call for the sweep. These are NBA players. They play with emotion. They play in front of their fans. I can easily see a scenario where the Celtics take the first 2 in Boston and Atlanta gets game 3 back in their home building. I can see a scenario where the Celtics take the first 3 games and Atlanta takes game 4 in their building, backs against the wall. Texter says they swept Brooklyn last year. Yes, just because they swept Brooklyn last year does not mean I'm going to go predicting them to sweep this year. And that Brooklyn team was soft as well, given the nature of Kyrie. Now, Atlanta doesn't have Kyrie, so they might be less likely to implode and more likely to play hard. I like Clint Capella. I like John Collins. I like Bogdanovich. Atlanta has a lot of good players. They have a lot of likable players. But I think with Trae Young, I think they're a little bit soft, and I think he's a little bit irritable. And I can just see Marcus Smart getting under his skin. I could just see Malcolm Brogdon being able to lock him down, him going to the lane, getting bodied by how physical the Celtics are. Celtics win this one in 5. Celtics win this one in 5. Kendrick Perkins of ESPN, the former Celtic, said something interesting this morning on ESPN. He says Jayson Tatum has the most pressure of anyone in the playoffs.
The guy that I'm looking at that's under the most pressure this season to deliver a championship is Jayson Tatum. And I get it. People are saying, no, that's crazy. He's young. He still got a lot of basketball left in his career, and rightfully so. But guess what? He also has all the pieces he need around him to actually get it done. And what he did last year in the finals, disappearing, Jayson Tatum needs to get his lick back.
I got a text from Jack on the text line I want to get to in a second, but I want to address Kendrick Perkins here. Jayson Tatum has pressure. I think, look, the best, if you are a top 4 seed in the NBA playoffs, your best player has pressure. Right? If you're in a top 4 seed, you have championship aspirations. Therefore, your best player has pressure. Jayson Tatum has pressure. For all the reasons Perk says, right? There's going to be all the lists. Is he a top 5 player in the league? Is he a top 3 player in the league? Is he a max contract guy? And could you build around him? And all that narrative is going to come. Then there's the narrative of what happened to him last year in the playoffs and kind of did the disappearing act, as he said, in games, 3 through 6. But every best player in the NBA, or every best player on their team, has pressure in the NBA playoffs. I think there are still people with more pressure than Jayson Tatum. Right? Jokic is a 2-time MVP. The Nuggets have been a top seed or have been a top 3 Western Conference seed for years and have never been able to break down the door. I think he's got some pressure. I think he's got a huge amount of pressure on him. Donovan Mitchell forced his way out of a good situation in Utah. Now he's in Cleveland. They're a top 4 seed. There's pressure on Donovan Mitchell. No doubt is there pressure on Donovan Mitchell. There's always pressure on LeBron, right? This could be the last time LeBron gets to the playoffs. How many minutes can LeBron play? How long can he take this? If he wins the title, what does it do for his resume? LeBron's got pressure. There's pressure on Giannis. Can he get a second one? Because if you get a second one, you add yourself into a rarefied air. John Morant, how about you? Can you come back from your transgressions this season and lead Memphis to its first title? How deep can you take Memphis? Are the Warriors going to fall apart if they don't win? So how much pressure is on Steph and Draymond and Clay? There's pressure on everybody. I don't think that Jayson Tatum has the most pressure in the NBA. To me, it comes down to Jokic and it comes down to Joel Embiid. That, to me, is where the guys with the most pressure lands. Jokic, 2-time MVP, has never been to the finals. Embiid, a guy who's an MVP caliber player, might win it this year, has never been to the finals, has never even been to the Eastern Conference Finals. I think those guys have more pressure than Tatum. I do. Now, as I told you the other day, I think Joe Mazzulla has pressure on him to try to keep the band together. I think the head coach has pressure on him to try to keep his guys happy and keep them from pulling a Donovan Mitchell. But I don't think Jayson Tatum has the most pressure in the NBA. He has gotten to the finals. He has overcome here the Celtics coaching issues, the Ime Udoka scandal. He's proven he's a great player. He's proven that he's durable. Yes, I get it. You need to win the title. But Jokic, Embiid, James Harden doesn't have as much pressure anymore because we've kind of written him off as just Embiid's sidekick. But he's got some pressure. Russell Westbrook always has pressure. I think Kawhi Leonard has pressure on him. There's pressure everywhere. Texter says most pressure is on Embiid, no doubt. Oh, Phoenix has a huge amount of pressure, right? Chris Paul never won the finals. Got to the finals a couple of years ago against Giannis, lost. Chris Paul has been riding this greatest player to never win a title wave along with Charles Barkley here for a while. Devin Booker. Can they keep this group together? Paul and Booker and Durant. They went out and got Durant for the purposes of winning. Can they actually do it? So I think I would put Jokic, Embiid, and Chris Paul all ahead of Tatum as far as having most pressure. Texter says Kawhi Leonard also has a ton of pressure. He's won a title. He's so quiet. I think he flies under the radar. But I would agree with you. Kawhi Leonard has pressure too. I don't know if he has more than Tatum, given that he's already won. Tex says Suns do have all the pressure. Suns have a lot of pressure, right? Chris Paul, Durant, they made the move. And they're going to get a chance if things shake out the way they're supposed to. They're going to get a chance to take on Jokic in the second round. And that's going to be a great series where you're going to have a lot of pressure both ways. All right. Jack says Trae Young's played some of the best playoff games ever at Madison Square Garden, toughest arena in basketball. I'd be careful calling him soft. I wouldn't. Trae Young couldn't get along with his head coach, Nate McMillan. He got his head coach, Nate McMillan, fired. Nate McMillan took that team to the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years ago. You can't get along with your head coach like that? Soft. Trae Young wanted Kevin Huerter traded by the reports that I read. I don't know why he didn't like playing with him. Huerter seems to be doing pretty well in Sacramento. You're trying to get your teammates traded and your coach fired? Soft. I'm not saying he doesn't have a bit of an FU quality that can allow him to raise up in a pressure-filled environment. He does. And he's fully capable of going for 35 tomorrow. I just don't think that he's going to, or if he does, I don't think it's going to be easy. If Trae Young gets 35 tomorrow, it might be on 9 of 29 shooting. And I'll take that. I'll take that kind of inefficiencies. Trae Young, to me, he's not the guy. There's a reason why Atlanta reportedly has the green light to trade him this offseason. They're tired of his act too, and they're going to go down in this series in 5. I'm tired of the Red Sox act. They've lost 4 straight. They were swept by the Rays. They're taking on the Angels coming up later tonight. Buster Olney of ESPN. He's going to stop by with us next on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
Are you looking to get rid of your used mobile home? Here at Fecto Homes, we don't just sell new mobile homes. We also buy used. If you have a used mobile home that you are looking to sell, we can either accept it as trade and apply the value to a new home with us or purchase it outright. We offer fair prices and quick removal of your mobile home. So reach out to us for a quote today. Fecto Homes, 350 River Street, Montpelier, or visit us at fectohomes.com for more information.
The WDEV studio is sponsored by Sticks and Stuff and Swanton Lumber, Vermont's largest independent home center, powered by Marvin Doors and Windows. Go to sticksandstuff.com for store locations and hours.
Do you love a bargain? Then the WDEV Trading Post online marketplace is for you. Get great deals on goods and services from local businesses, furniture, gift certificates, recreation discounts. You'll never know what you'll find. All deals are at a reduced price. Save money, and maybe you'll discover something new. The offerings and prices are constantly changing, so check back regularly at tradingpostmarketplace.com.
Hurry and shop the final days of Springfest at Lowe's and get the best values of the season before they're gone. Save big across the store for projects inside and out. Get started on your spring garden with 1 pint annuals, 4 for $5. Save on indoor updates too, with up to 40% off select bathroom faucets and vanities. Shop Lowe's today, because Lowe's knows spring. Lowe's knows home improvement. Valid to 4/19. Annuals offer available in-store only. Excludes Alaska and Hawaii. Selection varies by location while supplies last.
A good work partner knows what you need before you need it. That's how it feels when you work with Cintas. Your dedicated Cintas service reps get to know your business and have the industry knowledge that can help you prepare for what's ahead. They'll deliver your team's workwear freshly laundered. Make sure your first aid and safety supplies, mats, mops, and towels are stocked when you need them. And your fire extinguishers are inspected and in working order. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Local businesses advertise with WDEV because they get results. Brian Bittner of Bittner Antiques shares his experience advertising with WDEV.
We've done a number of recorded ads with WDEV, which have a great response. And we've also been doing live radio call-ins once a week for the past few years. And the response of that has just been amazing.
Interested in advertising on WDEV? Contact us at WDEV@radiovermont.com.
Make your opinion heard by texting onto the Brady Farkas Show at 802-585-3026.
All the insight into everything going on in baseball. It's time for our weekly conversation with ESPN baseball insider and Vermont native, Buster Olney.
I'm just about ready to bet the family farm in Vermont.
On the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show here on this Friday on WDEV AM and FM, WDEVradio.com. Shorter show today. We're up until 6:10, and then we kick it on over to Red Sox baseball. Sox coming off that 4-game sweep at the hands of the red-hot Tampa Bay Rays. They're taking on the Angels tonight for the first of a 4-game set, so good to see Trout and Ohtani come to Boston. Joining us now is our ESPN MLB insider, Buster Olney. Buster, how are you?
I'm doing okay, but not as well as the Tampa Bay Rays and a whole lot better than the Red Sox.
Yeah, that's for sure. I saw your tweet this morning. Red Sox already 8 games back in the division right now, sitting at 5-8 overall. Let me start with the Rays. It's undoubtedly true that they are good. Are they as good as they appear to be, or are they a product of what has been a very soft schedule so far?
They're as good as they appear to be. And what's different is how great their offense is. You know, for years and years, we talked about the Rays and their ability to develop pitching, and that's, helped out, fostered by the fact they play in a pitcher-friendly ballpark. And they have good pitching again, but their offense this year is staggering. I mean, think about this number. So far this year, they've hit 32 home runs. Their opponents have hit 6. 32 home runs for them, 6 for their opponents. They've only trailed in 6 innings at the end of 6 innings this year. That's the best number for any team since the 1884 Maroons. I think it's Chicago Maroons or St. Louis Maroons, whatever it is. It's insane. Their average margin for victory so far this season is 5.5 runs per game. And I said this on SportsCenter last night. Look, that's something you might see in SEC football, Georgia, Alabama playing homecoming games against, some Division III team. It's not something you see in baseball. So they're obliterating teams with what is a dramatically improved offense now that Wander Franco, Randy Arozarena are both healthy.
How good is that Rays-Blue Jays series this weekend going to be? That's an early season ALE slugfest. That's going to be awesome.
Yeah, like today, we have on Sunday Night Baseball this week the Astros and the Rangers. I will tell you that tonight I'll be watching the Blue Jays. I'll keep an eye on that, the Blue Jays and Rays, because Toronto's playing really well. Before they lost last night to the Tigers, they had won 7 of 8 games. They look terrific. The Rays are unstoppable at this point, so we'll see. I will tell you that after watching the Rays, who I didn't even pick to make the playoffs this year, after 2.5 weeks of watching them and talking with the Rays folks, I now think they're going to go wire to wire. I don't think anybody's catching them because of how excellent they are, and they're so deep that even after losing a starting pitcher like Jeffrey Springs from yesterday's game with an elbow issue, that they have the confidence they'll be able to replace him just as they were able to replace Tyler Glass now last season.
Buster, on the Red Sox, I saw them called yesterday just a collection of spare parts, and I thought that was a relatively good way of putting it. But I think I get the Red Sox plan. The Red Sox plan is to develop a homegrown core and then spend around it. We've seen it work for the Braves. We've seen it work for the Astros. We've seen it work for the Royals. I think that that's a really good way to win in baseball. The problem for me is the execution of that plan. The Red Sox are not building that homegrown core. You look around, yes, there's Devers, there's probably Casas, and there's hopefully Bayo. And after that, there's almost nobody at the upper minors or the majors here that's young that you have hit on, and you've been left with this collection of spare parts. So to me, the plan is not the problem. It's the execution of the plan. Do you agree with me?
I agree with you, and part of that is it's not about Chaim Bloom. To me, it's about John Henry, and he will now be tested as we move forward, what his level of patience is. I don't think that you can ask a fan base in Philadelphia or in New York or in Boston to sit back and wait 6 to 8 years for your team to completely rebuild and to build a farm system the way they have in Tampa Bay. I just don't think it's possible, because I think the fans' unhappiness will wind up manifesting itself. It already has. You and I know this. Rafael Devers probably doesn't get that monster contract that he got in the spring if not for ownership and the leadership of the team feeling the heat from fans unhappy about what's going on. And look, at some point, as the Yankees continue to win, as the Rays are what they are now, Baltimore getting better, and of course Toronto, the Red Sox context, it's going to make them look more ugly than they probably do look. I agree with you. The way that your assessment of whether or not we should consider them a group of spare parts, that's kind of the way they are. That's a fact. They've got, 2 or 3 guys who are, everyday players you can count on for, 150 games for a position player, or, 30 starts in the rotation. But there's not much there in terms of the guys who are going to be around when the Red Sox turn the corner.
Buster Olney, ESPN MLB Insider, with us here on the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV, AM and FM at WDEVradio.com. I didn't get to New England until 2016, so the Ben Cherington era predates me, so I'll ask you for a little context. Ben Cherington was tasked with building up the farm system, did that, but ultimately didn't get to see it all the way to fruition because they canned him in favor of Dave Dombrowski. Chaim Bloom has failed to develop talent at the upper minors and the majors right now, but we do believe there's some talent in the low minors. So I do believe there is a wave coming for the Red Sox at some point in the next 4 years or so. The question is Chaim Bloom going to get Ben Cherington and not get to see it to fruition?
I completely agree with you, which is why I think now that the onus really is on John Henry and whether or not he'll wind up changing things. And I remember having a conversation with folks in the Red Sox organization last year about John Henry's, even through this great success the last 2 decades, 4 championships, he changed course many times. He dumped Theo Epstein effectively, moved on past him. He, brought in Ben, and then he got impatient with the direction of the team at that time. They bring in Dave Dombrowski. They spend a lot more money. And then John Henry gets impatient with what Dave was doing, and they bring in Chaim Bloom. If on one hand, I think that he probably owes it to Chaim to ride this out and give him the opportunity. But on the other hand, he's also got to listen to his fans who are really unhappy. We heard the booing on opening day, and that's only going to get louder as they continue to drift downward in the standings if Tampa Bay, Toronto, Yankees run away from them.
Buster, the Angels are coming to town tonight. Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani. It's you've been on top of the Ohtani impending free agency from the beginning. It's one thing if he doesn't want to play in Boston. It's one thing if he just chooses to go somewhere else. My question is, do you think the Red Sox will be at the table when it comes to the proper money offer for Ohtani?
No chance. Absolutely no chance. They need to do their due diligence and have the conversation and ask the question where the numbers are going to go. But an organization that was unwilling to give Mookie Betts the contract that he wanted, or Xander Bogaerts the contract that he wanted, is not going to be a team that's going to have the pile of money, be willing to spend the pile of money that's going to be required for Ohtani. As you and I have talked about in past weeks, the key question is, will his contract number start with a $500 million plus, or will it start with a $600 million plus? There's no way the Red Sox are navigating in those waters.
Who do you think is? I mean, you said the Dodgers from the beginning. I got to assume the usual suspects, the Dodgers, the Yankees, maybe the Cubs, and all of a sudden maybe the Texas Rangers, the Padres. Like, is that the group of five and that's it?
So let's be clear. The Cubs certainly have the money and the financial flexibility to do it. The Mariners, your Mariners, you would assume they would check in and do their due diligence, the Giants. But I really think it's going to come down to a battle between the Dodgers, who, and they've had internal talks among their players about taking a run at Ohtani this offseason, and the New York Mets with the richest owner in baseball. Steve Cohen, their general manager, the one that Steve hired, was the guy who lured Ohtani to Anaheim, Billy Epler. And so in free agency, not only do I think the Mets are going to wind up offering the biggest contract to Ohtani, the largest number, but they've also got Epler, who Ohtani trusts and knows. And I think maybe we should learn from recent history and say, we can't forget about the San Diego Padres either.
Yeah.
Like they seem to be willing to spend everything. They had the biggest offer on the table to Aaron Judge. They had the biggest offer on the table to Trey Turner. They outbid the Red Sox by 75% to get Xander Bogaerts, and maybe we should learn from all that and anticipate that they'll be in the conversations for Ohtani.
I know you said the Red Sox won't be in those waters, but they should still do their due diligence. I'm curious, do the Red Sox deploy Yoshida this weekend and say, hey, take him out to dinner and all that kind of stuff? Or one, is that tampering? And two, am I thinking way too diabolically about this?
Well, I mean, Yoshida, I would assume, from what I understand, they're friends. And so they would go out to dinner. But, I don't think the team should ever go within a million miles of asking him to do that. And the reason why I think they need to do their due diligence in the fall is quite simply this. When Ohtani signs with another team, whether it's the Mets or the Dodgers, and you're Chaim Bloom, if he's the one, or if you're John Henry sitting at that press conference in the wintertime, and the question is asked, did you guys talk to Ohtani's people? The answer can't be no.
Yeah, you're right.
It just can't be. You have to make the phone call. You have to do the due diligence. You have to say, thank you very much, and hang up the phone so you can answer the question, yes, we checked on the price, and it was too expensive for us.
As we get ready for this game tonight, our pregame show beginning a little while from now at 6:10. I'll get you out of here on this, Buster. We've made so much of Ohtani, and rightly so, when he's the best player in the world. We've kind of forgotten, it's not the right word, but we've kind of let Mike Trout take a back seat. How good still is Mike Trout? Because I'm excited to watch him this weekend in addition to Ohtani.
Well, I mean, for years we talked about Trout being not only the best player in baseball, but maybe the best player of all time in terms of the start of the career he's had. He's been sidelined in recent years. He's missed games. That slowed his pace in terms of the numbers he's putting up. And yet this year, he's got an OPS of close to 1,000. Like he would immediately, if he were on the Red Sox, with all due respect to Rafael Devers, Trout would immediately become their best player. He's the second best player in the world. I have wondered what it must be like for Trout to watch this year play out because he's so competitive. He wants to win so badly. And while, he's the first one to give Ohtani his props for being a great player, can you imagine being Trout and understanding that the guy who gives you the best chance to win might be only 4 or 5 months from walking out the door?
Yeah, fascinating stuff for the Angels for sure. And we talked about how they need a good start, and it's been kind of ho-hum. They had a good series against the Nationals they're coming off of. But we'll see it play out this weekend at Fenway, a 4-game set, which includes the Patriots Day Monday game. So we're looking forward to that. Buster Olney of ESPN. Buster, be well. Have a great weekend there with the Astros and the Rangers. And we'll talk to you again next week.
Okay, Brady, thanks for doing this.
Absolutely. Thank you for doing this. Don't thank me for doing this. Thank you for doing this. We'll step aside. CBS National News Update. We'll react to what Buster had to say. We'll give you the Sox lineup. So we'll do it next on the Brady Farkas Show on DEV.
This is WDEV, Vermont's news station, owned and operated by the Radio Vermont Group. From the top of Sugarbush, 96.1 FM, WDEV Warren and Waitsfield, 96.5 W243 Barrie, 98.3 W252 CU Montpelier, along with our founding station, AM 550 WDEV Waterbury Montpelier. Streaming at WDEVradio.com. 91 years of serving Vermont. The friendly pioneer, WDEV.
This is CBS News on the Hour, presented by Indeed.com.
I'm Linda Kenyon in Washington. The Supreme Court puts restricted access to an abortion pill on hold while it sorts out conflicting court rulings. CBS's Steve Futterman has the story.
The ruling is limited. It allows women to continue to use mifepristone until next week, when the court will make a decision on whether the drug can be used while the legal battle over it winds its way through the courts. Stephanie Frame is with Planned Parenthood in Florida.
I'm actually heartened by the fact that the Supreme Court took a sensible approach to say this, and hopefully they'll continue that.
Abortion rights advocates claim it would be unfair to restrict the pill's use while the courts are still deciding the case. Steve Futterman, CBS News.
The Air National Guardsman has been charged in the leaked documents case. CBS's Willie James Inman reports.
It's an embarrassment, and I am sure that our allies are just horrified by it.
Virginia Democratic Congresswoman Abigail Spanberger is a former CIA officer.
We'll never be able to pull all of that information back from the internet, wiped from a place where our adversaries will be able to see it.
The Department of Defense launched an investigation into how the material was circulating online for several months before the Pentagon detected it.
President Biden has directed the military and intelligence community to further secure and limit the distribution of sensitive information. The president is wrapping up his trip to Ireland tonight in County Mayo. CBS's Stephen Portnoy reports from Dublin.
Today, the first Irish Catholic president since John F. Kennedy is focused on his roots. Earlier today, he made a pilgrimage to the shrine at Knock, where Catholics believe an apparition of the Virgin Mary appeared in 1879. He's also stopping by a hospice where a plaque bears the name of his late son, Beau. He's also meeting with distant cousins who live in County Mayo. Mr. Biden's great-great-great-grandfather sailed from there and settled in Scranton.
Parts of South Florida are recovering after a storm dumped several inches of rain in the area. Fort Lauderdale Mayor Dean Trantalis says help is on the way.
Our primary need has been pump trucks, and we have more arriving as we speak. We originally had 14 on the ground. We requested 20 more. 4 have arrived, and we're now expecting 16.
The Fort Lauderdale Hollywood Airport is up and running again after it was closed due to flooding. An unpopular plan in France to raise the retirement age to 64 has been approved.
The Constitutional Council has given the green light for the key elements of the pension reform bill to become law. They include raising the retirement age from 62 to 64. France's labor unions say they will continue to fight and rejected an offer of talks from President Emmanuel Macron.
CBS's Elaine Cobb. This is CBS News.
Streamline how you hire with Indeed. Their powerful hiring platform makes it easy to attract, interview, and hire candidates all in the same place. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
Hey, Vermont. Tara from Green Mountain Solar here. The days are getting longer and the temperature's getting warmer. Let's not waste a second of that summer sunshine. Going solar is no small decision. That's why at Green Mountain Solar, we never engage in hard sales. We don't do door-to-door soliciting, and we promise we will never chase you down at your local hardware stores. That's not enjoyable for anyone. Other companies can lose sight of the many details that go into making the decision to go solar. At Green Mountain Solar, we pride ourselves on customer satisfaction and face-to-face interactions. Our main goal is to have customers that are confident that Green Mountain Solar is the right solar company for them. Don't let other companies pressure you into signing the dotted line before you're ready. Take the time you need. If you have a quote from another company, book a free and in-person site visit with us and be certain that you're making the right choice for your next home improvement project. Visit us at greenmtnsolar.com to get that solar process started today.
Want Brady to hear your opinion on the sports stories of the day? Text in at 802-585-3026.
Now it's back to the Brady Farkas Show on WDEV AM, FM, and WDEVradio.com.
Welcome back in, Brady Farkas Show here on DEV. We'll get to the Red Sox baseball here in about 5.5 minutes here. We'll get to the lineups here as well. Masataka Yoshida out of the lineup today. One more day to rest that hamstring. He's meeting with the Japanese media right now at Fenway, where there are just throngs of Japanese media there between Ohtani and Yoshida and the World Baseball Classic victory that involved both of them. There's certainly a lot to talk about there. Yoshida said he is honored to play against Ohtani in the best baseball stadium in the world, meaning Fenway Park. So cool there. It is going to be Ohtani pitching on Monday for the Angels, largely against Brian Bayo, who's coming back from the injured list. Texter says, that's sad what Buster has to say about the Red Sox and Ohtani. It is. The Boston Red Sox should never be in a position to be outbid for the best player around. Shohei Ohtani is the best player in the world. The Boston Red Sox have the money to pay him. They should not lose out to any other team because of money. Look, if you stacked up Boston and San Diego and Los Angeles and New York and Chicago and Seattle and San Francisco, if you stacked up all those places together and Ohtani just said, I don't want to be in Boston, that would be one thing. You cannot change that. If Ohtani says, I want to be on the West Coast, I want to be in better weather, I want to be by, I want whatever, right? If Ohtani said, I want something that Boston, the city, can't give me, then you have no counter to that. But what you can't have is money be the deciding factor. Look, New York is not a better place than Boston. Right? I am not a New York City fan at all. New York City is not a better place than Boston. If Ohtani just gets more money from the Mets or the Yankees and chooses to go there, that's going to be bad for the Red Sox. Right? If he says, look, I want to go to San Diego and I'll take $80 million less to do it, you can't compete with that. That's just a personal preference. And I have to just tip my hat and say, okay. But I can't have it be where the Red Sox don't even put themselves to be in the room. I don't know that the Red Sox could get him. I think Ohtani probably does want to stay on the West Coast. Padres, Giants, Mariners, Dodgers, I think they're all options. But you have to put yourself in the room, and Buster's saying that they're not, and that is frustrating. That is really frustrating. Ohtani's going to pitch on Monday. I've seen Ohtani pitch a bunch of times in my life, but I really studied Ohtani his two starts ago. He pitched against the Nationals the other day, but I watched him the other day against the Mariners, the one before that. Ohtani is a different pitcher, really, when I sat down and watched it, than I was expecting. Ohtani throws 100 miles an hour, yet he throws 20% fastballs. Like 1 out of every 5 pitches is a fastball. It's shocking to me. It used to be you threw hard, you lived off your fastball, and you set up everything else. Ohtani's the opposite of that. He's going to throw like 40% sweepers on Monday when the Red Sox see him. He pitches in a way that's totally different than I was expecting. And we're going to get to see it on Monday. All right, let's get the lineups. The Angels are 7-5. The Red Sox are 5-8. Tanner Houck takes the mound for the Sox, 2-0 with a 4.50, possibly his last Red Sox start because Brian Bayo's coming back. Alex Verdugo leads off in right. He's got a homer and 6 RBIs. Justin Turner's hitting 255. No homers, 4 ribbies. He's the DH. Rob Refsnyder's in left, hitting third again. Homered yesterday, 4 RBIs. Rafi Devers hitting 280 in the 4 spot. 5 homers and 12 RBIs. Kike Hernandez is in center. He's got 2 homers. Christian Arroyo's at second. Tristan Casas is at first. Connor Wong is the catcher, and Yu Chang is the shortstop. This is a sad back half of the order for the Sox. Kike's at 114, Arroyo at 189, Casas at 132, Wong at 120, and Yu Chang has not had a hit since the World Baseball Classic pool play round. Patrick Sandoval is pitching for the Angels. He's 1-0 with a 1.64. Taylor Ward leads off in left. He's hitting 292. Trout's hitting 262. He's got 3 homers and 9 RBIs. He plays center. Ohtani's got 3 homers. He's hitting 300. He's the DH. Anthony Rendon is at third. He's batting fourth. Former Red Sox player Hunter Renfroe hitting 295 with 3 homers and 9 ribbies is in right. Jake Lamb is the first baseman. Brandon Drury is the second baseman. Luis Rengifo is the shortstop. And how about this? Logan O'Hoppe, I should say. 4 homers, 11 RBIs, leads the team in both categories. He's the rookie catcher and he bats ninth. I'll see you Monday for a full show. Enjoy the weekend on DEV.
It's time for the Mass Mutual Red Sox pregame show. Proudly brought to you by Mass Mutual. Mass Mutual. Insurance, planning, investments.